diagram. Let me put a software, maybe something up here closer to what I'm referring to. Yeah, perfect. So use case diagram of probably it's just Uber sort of application. You have the rider, the driver, and then an administrator. The rider requests a ride, view driver details, cancel ride. The driver can cancel ride, accept, reject ride request, view rider details. And administrator gonna manage rides, view reports, manage drivers, right? So
Okay.
that's a use case diagram. Or you can also see other types of diagrams such as check. You have the components diagram as well. And there's another one that I wanted to share with you, but it's not for this. But the ideal one that we're going to use is the component diagram. Okay. Don't focus on the style of the UML sort of thing because you're going to draw it, but how it's organized, everything, right? So you have, for example, a complex component, another component, an interface, provided interface, another component, port, dependency, artifacts, etc. This is just a example, right? Another component, and this component can be cloud, right? Can be a server, can be a front end, can be a cloud forms, can be a S3 bucket. Depends on what you are trying to demonstrate, right?
Okay.
On this example. So let me get software texture system design. A random system design. So for example, we have here this is almost like a use case, right? Or maybe this is a use case sort of diagram. But instead of users, we have the clients that end up the data are the users, the computers. Internet, load balance, servers, database, and back, right? This kind of maybe that's called another type of diagram, but this level of details is not enough for a system design. It's too low on abstraction. It's too high on abstraction. Actually, we need lower the abstraction, put more details on that, right? So we would need something like this, a little more details. This is like a random example. This also a good example, right? The client, load balancer, servers, caching systems, analytic service, database, S3 bucket, right? User
Okay.
service, streaming service. And keep that in mind, like this streaming service or user service, this can be just a Lambda function. This can be a Python application, a Python backend, Node.js backend, can be wherever, edge service. But here is clear that is a difference. They are separate somehow, right? They are a little separate somehow in these cases. Perfect. Any questions?
Uh, no questions. No, no. Yeah, yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For example, there are some. No. Are there some, for example, a pattern to create
Mm-hmm.
system design for uh, different projects? Because I see that different ways to create a system design to same project, but I didn't see the pattern yet, the create.
Exactly.
So in this case, I believe that it's all projects are can be correct, but
Mhm.
they are built they are built the different way to
In
see
different ways.
the system. And I'd like
Yes.
to know because I think I believe I have difficult to understand because
Mhm.
different people write create build different ways to for the same project, and this is
Yes.
difficult for me.
That's a good question. And that's why I make sure that I am explaining everything because there is no pattern, exactly pattern that you should follow. There are concepts that you should use in different moments, in different projects. Okay?
Okay.
So, for example, if you want to, just a simple case, right? If you want to save data permanently, what you should use?
Data permanent.
Yeah. If you want to
Uh,
store data permanently, what do you need?
I need to the database.
Exactly. You need a database. If you want to um, make sure that the content is delivered or is available the closest possible of users based on views, right? Like YouTube, for example. YouTube have a lot of videos. The catalog of YouTube are bigger than Netflix, right? And they have big files of videos. They need to make it available for a lot of people in different contexts. For example, if they want to store, in different cases, they have Argentina and Brazil. There are videos in Spanish and Portuguese. How they should manage to be to the content be available for the right people and the nearest possible, the closest possible from different clients.
You
I
need to
did.
use a CDN.
Exactly. So you need to use a CDN. So you have to understand this concept to implement in your software architecture,
Okay.
right?
So, but the way in the communication between these concepts, for
Mhm.
example, how to how to connect. For
Mhm.
example, uh, in the load balance
How to show the
and
connection.
how to show the connect the load balancer
Mhm.
and API is necessary to put for example the different APIs, or it's not important in this moment.
Mhm.
I have
Usually it's
this
not important, okay? But you can highlight what you're gonna do, okay? So for example, if it's a RESTful API, what are you going to use as a connection protocol, communication protocol?
You use HTTP.
Exactly. It's mandatory for RESTful API. You need to use HTTP. So that's what I mean when you need to domain dominate these concepts, right? To be sure that you are putting the right things in place. How a RESTful API gonna communicate with a Lambda function?
I communicated between. Could you
Yes.
repeat the question, please?
How a RESTful API can communicate with a Lambda function?
I don't know.
Can be HTTP as well. So it depends on the context. So you need to dominate this concept. Actually, a RESTful API can do more than HTTP, but also depends on the context. You can do WebSockets, right? You can do what else? No, I think it's basically WebSockets and HTTP using some help of few dependencies, right? So everything depends on the context. So if you are running a you are making the system design of a meeting platform, right? So you are not using only HTTP. You might use HTTP to log in, to log out, to add comments on the chat message, but you can stream a meeting using HTTP, right?
Okay.
I didn't get it.
For example, if Zoom, my client, my desktop client, is streaming video from my webcam, in my screen to you guys.
Yeah.
It's not using HTTP for that. It can't to stream data. So it's using, I don't know, WebRTC or some other peer-to-peer protocol. The one I remember for this is WebRTC. There's it's real-time data, right? And it's also not going necessarily through the server. It's P2P, the communications from my clients to yours directly, right? I just receive from Zoom the address, the path, and I consume and transmit from you and Silver directly, right?
Yeah, you can
So
save
you
a
have to
lot
be
of bandwidth.
exactly. So you need to
With the
understand these
technology.
concepts. Do you understand? So for example, let's put this in a board. So let's keep on this example, same example, right? So we have the meeting platform, the Zoom. And remember when I mentioned the components pattern? So you can separate in chunks of or collective or something like this, right? So we can put in different places to organize. For example, I can put here AWS. And here we're gonna have the user service. What is the user service, Silvers?
User service.
Yes. What is the user? I will draw a little more so you don't get caught off guard. So
I
we
didn't
have
understand the question. What is
clients.
the user service?
Yes, in this context. Let me draw a little more so you don't get so you have more context, right? So you have the client should have the three of us, Davidson, Lucas, Silver, right? And here we have the AWS servers. I don't know if it's a AWS service. Let's call AWS Zoom, right? Service. We have the user service. What is the user service for? For authentication, for logging, for authorization, or anything related to service that the users need. So it can be a Lambda function, can be a backend, can be a module inside the same backend. And in that case, I could do something like this.
Okay.
For example, I can remember this pattern of diagram. So I can say, just to be more organized, I can put a SE2, right? And you have the user service, and we have the what else? For the login, for we can call streaming services. Streaming service that will share and organize the meetings and send the data of the call for each one of the users, right? I'm just freestyling a lot, just so you guys understand what I mean when this is so more about organizing concepts and using than anything else. So remember, note that I am putting arrows that go back and forth between users and user servers, but the streaming service only goes one way, right? Only goes one way.
I didn't understand.
Why? I will explain why. The user service, Silver gonna log in
Okay.
and he will receive the token of the user service, and you're gonna be logged in. This token gonna expire, the user service will manage it. I will just focus on this part so we understand about the concept of the WebRTC system design. Or it can be very different from what I'm doing. But what I'm trying to help you is understand how you're gonna organize your idea, right? And how you're gonna organize the arrows, etc. And then the streaming service knows when the streaming is running, maybe from a queue, from another step, or from the user service to know who and when to send the streaming data, the channel information that you're gonna create between these three, right? And that's why
Okay.
it goes one direction in this. And I'm just explaining, not necessarily going to be always like this for a streaming service for meetings, but I'm just explaining my perspective, my idea. So the streaming service will send the information that it already knows. Somehow there is some other module or it consume a queue, a messaging service, a database, or the user service that tells the streaming service to send this data. And it doesn't receive any data from Silver, from me, for Davidson, right? It receives send the message to Davidson and say, look, Davidson, this is the channel that you're gonna build between you and Lucas and Silver, right? So the data are going to go back and forth between us because we are streaming data directly to each other, right? The data this meeting does not go through the Zoom backend to save bandwidth, to save networking, to save processing, right? Because video is a lot of data, it's a lot of information. I'm going to be too slow. It's going to be live all the time. So we just build a scheme real quickly, but it's very confusing because there is a lot of arrows here. And I didn't use a pattern. I'm not concerned about a pattern. I'm concerned about the concept I'm applying. That is the streaming service for meeting, for P2P communication, right? P2P here. Okay? It's not from Davidson to the Zoom server and the Silver. It's Silver and Davidson, Silver and Lucas, Silver, Lucas and Davidson, right? So you need to domain this concept little by little. I don't dominate these concepts yet, but I know where I should go from where without copying things, right? So for example, we can go and check how Zoom system design to see how far I am from this, right? And you're gonna see, like you said, Silver, very different situations, right?
Yes.
Here is more like a use case. Here is more components. It's more organized, right? Open this. So here we have the functional requirements: one-to-one call, group video calling, audio video screen share, recorded video. Non-functional, minimal latency, high availability, avoid data loss. Okay, good. So here it makes a schema. In system design interviews, you're not gonna do this, the DB schema, right? It's a type of diagram as well. They design the endpoints. You have the high level design, higher level of abstraction, so it's closer to the understanding from anyone. So you have the multimedia router zone controller, the client, the Zoom web infrastructure that is this, a bunch of servers. So a high level design. And the low level design, another almost like a use case as well, blah blah blah. And then we have a actual lower level design, right?
Okay.
A lot of details. And here it's the catch. I focus it only almost here, right? It's almost the streaming service that I created would be the WebSocket manager. But the name you don't need to memorize. Just memorize the concept, right? Have the user service here that's connected to DB, a caching. And honestly, I don't even know if this is perfect. Maybe it's just an example, but let's follow here. So here it's using specific service of AWS that in a non-specific cloud, on a specific cloud system design, you would not be obligated to use, right? This is the WebSocket manager that would have a different name for Google Cloud, right? And here it shows the connection between the two users, two clients, right? Basically. So you need to dominate, see, another diagram for a different part of this. Basically. You need to dominate concepts, not memorizing patterns.
Okay.
Right? Let's try to find another example for the same thing so we can compare. It's another good one. This one. Let's take a look. High level design. You can learn how to do a high level design just for the beginning of the interview and then go to a low level one. But this is too low, the level. We don't need to go that low, really. The database design, not a lot of samples. Another example for the same issue, right? Here it has probably have the functional requirement of the corporate network, the separate corporate network for specific clients, maybe. Zoom clients, developers, web infrastructure, development builds, data centers, boot clouds. and a video attached for this. Let's search for the Netflix system. Let's open a few examples. This one is just fake, apparently. Okay, this is a good one as well. Very simple, very straightforward. Data modeling, the endpoints, high-level design. See if there is a lower level. Okay, so here it's saying gRPC is a pattern of communication. It's used as a framework for communication between different microservices. It's going to use for some reason CDN, help checker, and this type of things you're going to explain, not going to draw, right? So there is a concept you need to dominate for this reason. Let me see if there's any other diagram here. The architecture of Netflix membership service. So you have architecture for another part of the application. So this is different components. Let me see if there is content discovery, content singularity, media service, education, subscription service. Maybe this one is inside the subscription service. Okay? It's an example. Usually the level that the system design you're going to do is this, right? Media service, search service, maybe less detailed for what you're going to build, but you need to dominate the concepts. Okay, how you going to dominate these concepts? Reading a lot about this, making your own system designs. So you're going to watch videos, learn the concepts, and put in ScholarDraw yourself, right?
Okay.
So you're going to watch a full video about it, try to focus on each part and research each part. For example, what is Elasticsearch or Kafka, Q, a messaging service. When use each one of these, caching, how we're going to display, where it's going to be placed, and why, a CDN, etc., etc. Building simpler examples and then going more complex little by little, right? So if you are able to build something like this, usually you are good. You are able to organize your ideas and what a complex system want to be and why. Okay?
Okay.
But it's still
So
not... Okay, go ahead.
it's
This one is good.
cool.
Go ahead.
Okay. The service, I not specify what to do each service, but only abstract the service, the control everything about the user, for example, the service, and I will connect with other or database or CDN. I will try to create some.
Yes. And I am explaining all this because it's confusing, it's overwhelming most of the time, because every single one that we saw, right, is for the same thing. This is Netflix. This is part of a Netflix. This is a part of a concept for Netflix. Let me see if there is
Yes,
the
because
complete one here.
because the Netflix, I believe that the real system design about Netflix is biggest because
It's probably bigger, more details,
yes,
right?
But the
Of course.
this way to simple way, it's enough for the interview.
Mhm. Yeah, so you have to be very aligned with the functional and non-functional requirements, right? The non-functional requirements are harder to explain. For example, right, if we go here, then we can see non-functional requirements. High latency. How you explain how I explain that this will provide low or high latency to the client, right? So you have to explain the theory behind this. Okay, so if I put all that in a server, Cloudflare, AWS, I will be competing with Netflix immediately with one load balancer, one video playback service, one caching, one video processing pipeline. You understand? So no, it's not about the system design, it's about showing off your knowledge, right? How this is gonna work. So you can just explain, so how are you gonna achieve lower latency here to watch the video? Imagine that, so this is perfect for us, the perfect size, the perfect level of abstraction, because we wanna speak a lot, so you don't have to draw everything, right? Notice that there is no communication protocol. It's good to know, so you explain how it's being communicated. If it's gRPC, if it's WebRTC, if it's HTTP, and where, right? And in this case, what solves the latency here? Can you guys see?
I believe.
The CDN,
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
the CDN it's responsible to keep the closed server for the
A closer
yes
server to the clients, right? To the viewer.
yes
Exactly. So the CDN is responsible for that. So you draw that, but you didn't draw the global system design. You don't need to do that in the interview, of course. So you can start to say, so we have a video process pipeline. If the requirements that is like global availability, you have to mention. So we have this deployed globally in different servers in different regions of AWS, and we have different CDNs for different zones, and store this content accordingly with demands, right? And
okay
where it's stored, definitely in the IS3 bucket, in a bucket somewhere, another service that is lower, it's not so close to everyone. So, and you can start explaining, like in Latin America, in the case of Latin America, you have two major languages, Portuguese and Spanish. The content that is more consumed by Argentina have to be stored in the CDN of Argentina because this content is in high demand there. The content that is more consumed in Brazil, in Portuguese, most of the time going to be stored in the CDN from Brazil. And you just explain it. You don't draw it. You don't do nothing. You just throw out words, right?
okay
Basically, that's one example. So you have one concept. So you can just search, for example, what CDN is. If you want to have a heavier technical vocabulary in English, of course. What is a CDN in simple terms? So a content delivery network is a geographically distributed group of servers that cache content close to end users. I didn't use the word caching on my explanation. So it's something that I add to my vocabulary when I mention CDN. right? So with a paragraph, I just learned something that I can use as a keyword when I'm explaining something. You understand?
Yes, I understood.
Mhm. And you have articles if you want to go deeper and deeper and deeper. But if you understand the basic, that's enough for now, just to be able to create a simple design, right? And here is good that you put like what X is, because it makes suggestions. Like, is Netflix a CDN, right? Is a CDN just caching? And read this will help you to improve your vocabulary and how to explain things.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So next week, let me take a look on GigaRex. And next week we definitely do the system design interview. Let me check what's gonna be the challenge there. This one. No, there is no debates on Tuesday. We can do the Netflix again next week. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Okay,
I
so
agree.
prepare,
Okay.
and we both of you guys do the system design interview. What do you think? Good?
The both
Sounds good.
Both of you
Yeah.
guys.
Yes, for me it's good.
Okay, because it should be fast, like 20
Yeah.
minutes each, just to go straight to the point. Is make your own before, no problem, no problem. You need to make your own. Do a perform one, watch a video, create together along with the video, copy it and the explanation, and then try to do it by yourself, right? Have in mind that maybe the video you watch or the article you see might have more requirements, like function and non-functional requirements, then I'm gonna ask, maybe. So you have to keep that in mind. That's why you need to dominate these concepts so you know when to apply. If I am asking to stream content, you have to use a CDN if you want low latency, right? You have to, for example, CDN concept is that if you want low latency, you are distributing content, you have to use a CDN. Don't matter if it's HTML, it is a spreadsheet, if it is a video. If it's a static content, CDN is the guy, right? It can be a text, can be a 1 KB file, but right, it's CDN, what you're going to use for that, to caching this information. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Good. I am speaking too much. This calls. I need to let you guys speak more, but I promise next time the system design is all you. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect, perfect. So let's wrap up and do the picture. Sorry, one more. Perfect, perfect. So any questions, any concerns, any comments,
No,
any complaints? No?
no question. The system design will be Thursday. Yes. The
That
when
is Tuesday?
the Monday is lit code, like by
Yes,
code.
yes.
The
It's
Tuesday.
Tuesdays or Wednesday.
Okay.
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 Perfect. So good rest of your nights, guys. Enjoy. See you.
See you.
See you
Goodbye.
guys.